this lesson, we're going to revise Unit 2 Teen Life. Let's start. So, what we're going to study in this lesson, we're going to revise time expressions and prepositions of time. We're going to revise some adjectives, book and music genres. We're going to revise the present simple, adverbs of frequency, expressing preferences, expressing likes and dislikes, and some question words. So, let's start with the adjectives first. So, these are the adjectives that are used mostly in this unit. Impressive, ridiculous, energetic, casual, serious, unbearable, huge, exciting, trendy, boring, harmonic, and snob. We would like you to be careful with those three adjectives like terrific, terrible, and terrifying. So, terrific means great, terrible means awful, terrifying means scary. These are the three words that you mix up mostly. So here we have some music genres and book genres like folk music, rap music, pop music, rock music, classical music, techno music, Indian music, and jazz music. Here there are some book genres, and they can also be used while we can also use them while we are talking about the movies as well. Sci-fi, science fiction, comedy, comics, horror, thriller, adventure, fantasy, romance, mystery, history, humor, biography, western, and fairy tale. So these are some music genres and book genres. So let's go with the next one. Here we're going to talk about time expressions and prepositions of time, and we're going to read the text, which is about Jane's daily routines. So let's start with the text. I get up very early on weekdays. I have an enormous breakfast with my family at about 7. And then go to school at 8:15. I have lunch at school at 12:30. My lessons finish at 3:30. I follow after school activities from 4 o'clock to 6:30 every day. I get up late and have breakfast with my family on weekends. I attend my music school from 11 to 1:30 on Saturdays and Sundays. I chat with my friends online in the evenings. I watch a movie with my friends on Saturday evenings. I usually go to bed after 11:30 on Fridays and Saturdays. So you see some words in red in the text. So some of them are the time expressions and some of them are the prepositions of time. So let's look at time expressions and prepositions of time. So early, late, every day, every week, after, before, until. These are some of the time expressions that we use. But we need to be careful with the prepositions of time because we use, there are some certain prepositions of time that we use before some certain words or time phrases. In summer, in winter, in autumn, in spring, we use in with them. We say in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Before the months, we use in April. Before the years, we use in 2020. But we need to be careful with this one. We say at night, at noon. Before the clock, we say at 7:30, at 9, at 8. Before the days, we use on Mondays, on Tuesdays, on Sundays. Or we say on weekdays, on weekends. We can also say at the weekends. You need to be careful with the dates because we only use in when we say the month, but when we say the date, we say on the 6th of April. And you need to be careful with from to because you can see an example here from 11 to 1:30 on Saturdays and Sundays. So you need to be careful with them. Let's go with the present simple or simple present tense, the same. Uses of the present simple. Let's start with the uses of the present simple. The simple present can be used to refer to actions which occur at regular intervals. It means that we can say that we use present simple while we're talking about the things that we do regularly. Here there are some examples. He usually drinks see after meal. She usually works on her basket after dinner. They go to a dance every Sunday. They take a walk with their son every day. So the second use of present simple is, we say that we use present simple to state general truths and scientific facts. And here there are some examples. The earth goes around the sun. Water freezes at 32 degrees. Triangles have 3 sides. So we need to be careful with this as well. The other use of present simple is that we say that the present simple is used when referring to printed material and describing events portrayed in a book, film, or other work of art, and sports comments. So here we say NASA starts countdown to Mars mission. Another example is Ronaldo shoots and goal. So this is another use of present simple. And we can use present simple with a future meaning when there is a schedule or timetable. Let's go on with the example. Our plane leaves at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Although we are talking about future, we use present simple here because, as we said, we use present simple with a future meaning when there is a schedule or when there is a timetable. Another thing that we can say, another example is that I have maths lesson tomorrow. Although I'm talking about tomorrow, I use present simple because I have a timetable for my lessons as well. That's why we use present simple with a future meaning when there is a schedule or a timetable. To summarize, we can say that we use present simple to talk about daily routines and habits. We use present simple to talk about scientific facts and general truths. We use present simple to talk about hobbies, likes and dislikes. We use present simple to talk about events in a book, film, or sports comments. We use present simple to talk about future when there is a schedule or a timetable. So now let's focus on the formation of the present simple. Like we say that we use the base form of the verb with I, you, we, they. But we say that we use s, es, or ies with he, she, it in positive sentences. So let's look at the examples. Like we said, we use base form of the verb with I, you, we, they. I work, you work, we work, they work. But with he, she, it, we need to use s, es, or ies according to the letter that the verb finishes. He works, she works, it works, we say. We need to be careful with negative sentences and question sentences with the third person singular. When I say third person singular, I'm talking about he, she, it, because we don't add anything to the verb in negative sentences and question sentences, as in the example, he doesn't work, she doesn't work, it doesn't work. But with I, you, with they, I say I don't work, you don't work, we don't work, they don't work. In question sentences, do I work? Do you work? Do we work? Do they work? Again, we don't add anything to the verb. In question sentences with he, she, it, does he work? Does she work? Does it work? So you need to be careful with this one. As I said, we use s, es, or ies with the third person singular, which is he, she, and it. So let's look at the rules. There are some verbs that finish with certain letters. Their rules are different, but except those rules, we use s at the end of the verbs with the third person singular. Run, runs, smile, smiles, read, reads, write, writes. So, but when the verb ends with y, and if there is a consonant before y drops and we add ies. So we need to be careful. The verb needs to finish with y and there needs to be a consonant. Like what is a consonant? For example, B, C, D, T, H. These are the consonants. So if the verb finishes with a consonant, ends with a consonant, we drop Y and we add IES. I mean, if there is a consonant before Y, just like here, we drop Y and we add IES, like study, studies, cry. It ends with Y and there is a consonant before Y. So Y drops and we add IES, cries. So, but here, if the verb ends with Y and if there is a vowel before Y, we just add S, like play, place, pay, pays. So what are the vowels? A, E, I are the vowels. So if there's a vowel before Y, we just add S. But if the verb ends with Y, and if there is a consonant before Y drops and we add IES. So this is the first exception. The second exception is that if the verb ends with O, SS, SH, CH, X, or Z, we add ES to the verb. Like go, it ends with O, so we say goes. Kiss ends with double S, that's why we say kisses. Wash, SH, it ends with SH, that's why we say washes. Watch, CH, that's why watches. Relax ends with X, that's why we say relaxes. Or fix is the same, it ends with X, that's why we say fixes. Spritz ends with Z, that's why we say spritzes. So these are the rules of the formation of the present simple. Now, let's talk about the adverbs of frequency. So we just say that an adverb of frequency tells us how often something takes place. So, and we can say that when we ask the question with how often, we generally answer this question with an adverb of frequency. And here we can see the degrees of the adverbs of frequency. Like always is 100%, and there's an example here. I always wake up at 6 o'clock. Usually is 90%. I usually come home from after work. Normally, generally 80%. I normally swim after school. Often, frequently 70%. I often spend Christmas with friends. Sometimes this is 50%. I sometimes play tennis on the weekend. Occasionally is 30%. I occasionally eat Vietnamese food. Seldom is 10%. I seldom go to the library. Rarely is 5%. I rarely listen to the radio. Never, like, I never do it. It's 0%. I never listen to rock music. So the other thing that you need to pay attention with the adverbs of frequency is that, like, we use the adverbs of frequency right after the subject. So you need to be careful with this. I always, I usually, I normally, I often, I sometimes, like this. So now we're going to talk about the phrases or words that we use while we're expressing preferences. Would rather, would prefer, and prefer. They have the same meaning. Their meanings are the same. The only difference is the use, like the formation of the sentences. Let's look at them one by one. Would rather and would. Let's first of all let's compare would rather and would prefer. So would rather, we just say that we use would rather with infinitive without to, but we use would prefer with infinitive to. Let's compare those two sentences. Shall we go by train? Well, I would prefer to go by car, but here we say, well, I would rather go by car. So, you see, we use infinitive without to after would rather, but after would prefer we use infinitive to. Would you rather have tea or coffee? Coffee, please. If there's a noun, we just write the noun. I would rather coffee, please, or I would prefer coffee, please. So we need to be careful with the negative form of would rather because we say would rather not. I'm tired. I would not go out this evening, if you don't mind. Do you want to go out this evening? I would not. I would not do it by myself. We need to be careful with the structure because we say would rather blah 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 then, or would rather do something then do something else. So I would rather stay at home then go to the cinema. So let's look at prefer. We just say that we need to be careful with the structure of prefer as well because we say prefer doing something to doing something else. I mean that we use gerund after prefer and to when prefer is followed with a verb. She prefers staying, as you see, at home to going out. So after prefer there is a verb and we add ing, and after to there is a verb we add ing. But if there is a noun, we just write the noun. I prefer coffee to tea. So let's summarize it in a sentence. If there is a noun, we just write the noun. I prefer coffee. I would rather coffee. I would prefer coffee. But if they're followed with a verb, we need to be careful. I prefer drinking coffee. I would rather drink coffee. I would prefer to drink coffee. So be careful with the use, please. Now we're going to talk about expressing likes and dislikes. And also you need to be careful with the use of them. Because we use gerund again after the phrases and words that we use while we're expressing likes and dislikes. So let's first of all let's look at the words or phrases that we use while we're expressing our likes. I like, I love, I enjoy, I adore, I'm crazy about, I'm mad about, I enjoy, I'm keen on, I'm really into, I live for, blah blah is my thing, I'm fond of. So here there are the phrases that we use while we're expressing our dislikes. I don't like, I dislike, I hate, I abhor, I can't bear, I can't stand, I detest, I loathe, I don't really care for, I'm not into, I'm not a fan of. Or I'm not a huge fan of, we can say. So let's look at the example sentences. I'm crazy about hanging out with my friends. As you see here, we use crazy about, and crazy about is followed with a verb, and we add ing to the verb. I'm crazy about hanging. She can't bear or she can't stand listening. The boys are really into football. If there's a noun, we just write the noun. She hates reading sci-fi books. If it is followed with a noun, we can say she hates sci-fi books. We enjoy going to the rock concerts together. So you need to be careful what they use here as well. The last topic of today is the question words. You already know them, but let's have a quick revision. Who is used to ask the person, who is that? That's George. Where is used to ask place? Where do you live? In Texas. Why is used to ask the reason? Why will I have to clean up? Because there are guests. Because we have guests. So that's the reason. When, like, there are some question words that we use to ask time. One of them is when, the other one is what time, and we can also use how often. So they're different from each other. Like when is generally used to ask the date, we can say, like the year, but what time is used to ask time. But if we don't have the question word what time, we can use when to ask the time as well. And how often is used to ask the frequency of the action. Like how often do you do this? So we say that when is used to ask time or the date. When do you wake up every day? I wake up at 6. Or I wake up early. How is used to ask manner. How will you like your meat? With tomato sauce, please. What is used to ask an object or an idea or an action? What's your job? I'm an engineer. I'm a teacher. Or what are you doing? I'm just talking. Which is used to ask choice. Which one was your car? The red one. Whose is used to ask possession. Whose notebook did you borrow? I borrowed Jack's notebook, or I borrowed Michael's bicycle. Whom is used to ask the object of the verb. Whom did you see yesterday? I saw your grandfather. What kind is used to ask the description. What kind of music do you like? I like classic music. So that is the end of our lesson. Take care of yourself. See you in the next lesson.